Hey, I'm Dr. Sarah Skidmore, and I am a leadership futurist and consultant. And I'm excited to be with you here today to talk a little bit more about leadership and what leadership in the future of work and self-care looks like. So when we think about the past year, what words come to mind? If you had to pick 2 or 3 words to describe the past year, what would you use? Would you say community, or would you say adaptability? Maybe resilience, humanity? What 2 or 3 words would you use? Over the past year, not only have we seen a major shift in jobs and professions that shifted from office work to remote work, but we also saw a shift in how our folks who had to work on site and in physically present locations, a shift of greater technology in that capacity as well, whether it's using new systems or how scheduling works happens. There's all different ways that technology has impacted the work that we do, regardless of the role a person has. And when we think about the future of work, that technology adoption, that's only going to continue to accelerate. Going back to the work environment before the pandemic, before our organizations adopted all of these different technologies, whether it's softwares or tools, it's not going to be that way again, right? We know that we are in a new work environment. We know that the future is here. And so I do want to share some really important statistics and insights related to the future of work. It's always fascinating for me to think about what our future of work may look like, and then how our leaders today can start making decisions that will impact the future of work. We know that there's going to be increased technological adoption. We know there's going to be increased automation due to AI and machine learning. We know that our human talent, our people, right? There's a lot of folks that are going to be reskilling and upskilling their talents and their abilities for new jobs and different jobs. And so here are a few statistics to keep in mind when thinking about the future of work. Even in the future of work, there are still going to be human skills, right? The people skills that are going to be so important for our leaders. And whether you have a role of positional power or authority, or whether you are just using the influence that you offer as a leader within your context, we know that it is so important for our people to become stronger leaders, to have analytical thinking abilities, to have emotional intelligence, to have social skills. These are all human skills that are going to be so important for the future of work, even as we're talking about automation and technology and new kinds of jobs. Developing our people is something that we must always continue to do. So what does that mean? What does that mean for our organization? What does that mean today? You know, it's really easy to talk about the future and the future of work and all these ideas that seem out there and far-fetched, but how are we embracing those decisions, those insights and the decisions that we're making today? What policies are we putting in place? How are we fostering greater inclusion within the context that we have? How are we building strategies that are focused towards the future of life and the future of ways that things will operate? How are we being future-minded in the decisions we make today? So think about the future, right? What are 2 or 3 words you would use to describe the future? What are 2 or 3 words in the future you hope that exist or embody? And now think about those same 2 or 3 words you thought of as you described the past year. Do you see any shifts? Do you see any parallels, any growth there? That type of awareness is so important as we are making decisions today, because we know that the actions, the behaviors, the strategies, the things we're deciding today will directly impact our ability to bring about that future. So one of the key facets that I always have to focus on when I'm working with leaders is how are they investing in their self-care? Because by furthering our self-care is how we can ensure that we have the ability and the capability to make those wise decisions today that are going to impact our future. So maybe it's as simple as figuring out a better way to schedule your time. Maybe you need to schedule time for self-care during your work day, during your work week. Maybe you need to limit the amount of fires, right, that you respond to. Maybe you need to find a way to incorporate an activity each day that brings you a sense of peace, that brings you a sense of stability. Maybe it's as simple as taking a 5 or 10 minute walk outside. You know, it's really easy to get stuck behind a computer for 8 to 10 hours today doing video conference calls, especially during this time of pandemic. But really dedicating time to getting fresh air and seeing some sunlight is so important. Maybe you want to participate in a professional development program. Maybe for you, that's something that brings you joy and self-care. Maybe you want to participate in some kind of journaling or meditation activity. Whatever it may be, I challenge you to dedicate and invest time in yourself, in your own self-care. Now, as leaders, it's important that we not only model this for those that follow us, but also encourage those that follow us to dedicate time in their self-care as well. So consider how you might bring self-care to your team, in your organization, in your department, in your project area, because self-care is important for all of us. Because each individual within our organization, no matter the role, is actively making decisions in some capacity that can either help us bring about that preferred future or not. So let's encourage everyone to invest in self-care. You deserve it after the past year that we've had. And as we look to the future of work and to the future of where the organization is going, we need you to be restored and we need you to be active and present and engaged. Thanks.